My name is Mark Burrows-Smith. I'm Chief Executive of REPIC. REPIC is a large producer compliance scheme. We have a number of members from the electronics and electrical industry, and we discharge their recycling obligations. REPIC decided to commission the research from Lancaster University to try and better understand the relationship between target setting for the recovery and recycling of electronic equipment and what actually is happening in the real world. As we've known from 2016 to 2017, the amount of waste electronics put on the market has fallen, and we also know that the amount of electronics sold has also fallen. This relationship was not previously really understood in target setting. In 2019, the targets increase. As we've seen during 2017, the amount of WEEE arising has actually fallen over previous years. And with an increase in targets, we do need to understand the relationship between target setting through the official system and the amount of waste electronics that are either hoarded, they go for reuse, they go for many other routes, to make sure that when the government compile the statistics to achieve the targets, they have a full and comprehensive data set that allows compliance to be achieved. Well, PCS targets are only a part of the overall tonnage of WEEE that should be collected and recorded as collected in the official UK system. It's well recognised that there are limitations in the data set that government uses to set targets. We know that the producer compliance scheme targets through the official local authority routes are a verifiable tonnage of WEEE arisings. What we don't know is what happens to the other tonnage of WEEE. Some of it is obviously reused, some of it's given away, some of it enters the official and the unofficial scrap market route, and therefore understanding all the elements and destinations of waste electronics is really key to understanding what appropriate targets should be set. The challenge in setting targets is actually setting the right target. Clearly, we know with a great degree of accuracy the tonnage that flows through the traditional producer compliance scheme local authority network. What is less clear is what other tonnage material is out there and where it arises and where it goes to. Within that, of course, there are substantiated estimates, which are in effect protocols to enable the UK to allocate from small waste electricals into which category each of those small waste items actually appear. Beginning of 2019, we also have open scope, which will bring into scope a substantial amount of waste electricals that were previously not deemed to be part of the household waste stream. That also produces challenges and also actually understanding the scale and degree that those products will actually arise.
My name is Dmitry Yumashev. I'm a researcher at the Pendleton Center for Sustainability in Business at Lancaster University. When we started this research, we were most interested in finding out what the industry insights are on the unreported flows, on the trends in the products, and on how well the current regulation works and what could be done to improve the collection rates. But also we wanted to know what the state-of-the-art modeling approaches are, what are the best tools to estimate how much products are on the market and how much waste is being generated. Our research had several stages. First of all, we carried out a gap analysis. We looked into multiple reports, research articles, also the modeling approaches and specifically the modeling tools for estimating the amount of electronic waste. Then we carried out tailor-made surveys to the REPIC members, that is producers and retailers, who sell the electronic products, but also the REPIC associates who are collectors and recyclers. At the same time, we dived deep into the available models for quantifying both the products on the market and the waste generated, and we chose or identified the leading model, the state-of-the-art model. And finally, what we did also, we adapted this model to the UK context, which is unique in different ways, and also we scoped out what are the key potential improvements to this model. So what are the next steps that could be taken to further improve the estimates and hence improve the collection targets and advise on the policy of the electronic waste recycling. The key findings from the research so far. We are zooming in on the key issues where a very targeted research needs to be carried out. The overall goal is to improve the estimates for the waste arising and improve the overall recycling system. One of the main findings is that there is a clear difference between small and large electronic items that become waste. The small items, they tend to be hoarded They also tend to be disposed of in just a regular waste stream, so there is a loss of potential waste collected. And also there are a lot of free riders in the small e-waste markets, particularly online sellers, and that makes it harder than to recycle waste because the registered producers are not paying for that waste that is put on, that products that are put on the market. But large items, they are usually recycled, but they have things like scrap metal value and also components of those items like compressors in the fridges have the value, so there is theft from collection sites. So there are different challenges for the large items as well. Another key finding is that we have to work closely with both producers and collectors so that they could provide us with some key data for estimating the waste arising, and that is the number of units sold, the trends in the unit weight, and also for collectors on the age of the products that are becoming waste. And that's all required in order to improve the modeling. And finally, we just have to remember that recycling has to be economically viable, and that calls for smarter regulations and smarter financing through producer compliance schemes. In addition, we realized that second-hand flows are very important. Currently, they are part of the official trade statistics, and we need more insights as to how many products are traded on second-hand markets, both within the country but also abroad. And that also brings the question of the unreported flows and illegal flows, particularly to other countries, of products that become wastes there. One of the most exciting things about the results of the research was to realize how challenging actually it is to model the waste that is arising, because, as I said before, there are hundreds of different products. There is limited data on individual products, units weights, for example. So even though there is a lot of statistics on the trade and manufacturing, we still cannot accurately assess the flows of waste in different products, very different categories. Another interesting finding is how to actually project the results of the state-of-the-art models to estimate products on the market and the waste generated onto aggregate UK categories. There are 14 categories which are used by the government to report waste and also to organize the recycling process. That hasn't been done before, and this projection from hundreds and hundreds of products to just 14 categories evolves with time, and so we managed to detail how it actually happens, so it's going to help for the reporting purposes. In terms of the next steps, we realized that we need to develop a new dynamic model to estimate both products on the market and the waste generated. And we've carried out a pilot study already when we introduced some socio-economic and market factors for one specific product, that is fridges. So it's a mature, saturated market with decades of history, and we tried to create a model that will respond to economic and market fluctuations more than the current models do. And what it does, it affects the waste that has been generated, because the waste is actually related to the sales in the mature markets like the fridges. So we've done this first pilot study, which seems to work pretty well. What we'll be looking to do next is to add more data. First of all, socio-economic data from the UK. It's the inflation-adjusted income per capita, it's the number of households, it's the income distribution for the households, and the market information, that is the prices, the consumer confidence, how many households have multiple units of a product. And we also need more information about the effect of the first-year returns and second-hand markets on the overall lifetime of the product, so how long it takes for them before they become waste. And finally, of course, we need more information on the unreported flows, both legal and illegal.